Welcome back to Cowboys News TV, where we keep you in the loop with everything Dallas Cowboys. Today, we're breaking down some key roster moves that the Cowboys just made. Two players have been signed, while unfortunately, one player has been placed on injured reserve and another was waived injured, which means they're likely headed to injured reserve after clearing waivers. These moves are significant because they show the team's approach to managing depth, especially on the offensive line. It's been a whirlwind of news lately, so if you want to stay ahead of the curve, make sure to share this video with your fellow Cowboys fans. That way, nobody misses out on the latest roster updates. The two signings we're focusing on today are La'el Collins and Jaron Christian. Both are offensive linemen brought in to add depth and veteran experience. On the other side, Paris Campbell's season is officially over as he's been placed on injured reserve. While his knee injury isn't as severe as initially feared, a sprain rather than a full tear, it does end his season, unless the team decides to reach an injury settlement or release him from IR. Also, Matt Willetko, a player connected to the Amari Cooper trade, was waived injured, meaning he's subject to waivers and if unclaimed, will revert to injured reserve. These moves tell us a lot about the Cowboys' priorities. They're not just focusing on star power, but also ensuring there's enough quality depth, especially in critical positions, like the offensive line. Depth matters in the NFL, especially when injuries happen, and the Cowboys seem to be preparing well in advance for the rough and tumble of preseason and regular season play. I want to hear from you now. What's your one-word reaction to these moves? Drop it down in the pinned comments section below. Are you excited, worried, or maybe surprised? Also, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We're aiming for 16,000 subscribers, and your support helps us get there while bringing you the latest and greatest Cowboys news every day. So, that's the quick rundown on the latest roster moves. Next up, we'll take a closer look at who La'el Collins and Jaron Christian are and what they bring to the table for Dallas. Stay with me, and let's dive into that in just a moment. Let's get into the details on the two new offensive linemen the Cowboys signed, La'el Collins and Jaron Christian. Both guys bring a veteran presence, which is exactly what the Cowboys are looking for to round out the bottom of their offensive line roster. Starting with La'el Collins, he's a versatile player who has experience playing both left guard and right tackle in the NFL. Interestingly, he also had a close friendship with Dak Prescott, which might give him a bit of an edge in fitting into the locker room and offense. This is actually Collins' third stint with the Cowboys, so he's no stranger to the team and coaching staff. Whether or not he cracks the final 53-man roster remains to be seen, but his familiarity and experience certainly give him a chance. Now, Jaron Christian is what you'd call a journeyman offensive lineman. Drafted in 2018 by the then Washington football team, Christian has bounced around the league, playing for multiple teams like the Texans, Chiefs, Dolphins, Browns, and Titans. He's started 25 games in his career, mostly on the left side of the line, which shows he's got some real NFL experience. Christian's career path reflects a typical veteran depth guy. He's not a star, but he's reliable enough to step in when needed. What's interesting is that he followed Bill Callahan to the Titans in 2024, but didn't make that roster, so the Cowboys could be getting a player familiar with some of their coaching styles. What does all this mean for the Cowboys? Simply put, these signings are about stability and reliability. The offensive line depth chart is pretty crowded with starters like Tyler Smith, Cooper, Beebe, Tyler Booker, and Terrence Steele. But behind those starters, having vets like Collins and Christian helps cover the team in case of injuries or fatigue, especially during the preseason grind. The Cowboys clearly want to avoid relying solely on undrafted free agents or rookies for those backup roles. It's a smart move, considering how critical offensive line play is to both protecting Dak Prescott and establishing the running game. I want to get your take on this. Do you think either Collins or Christian will make the final roster? Type Y for yes or N for no in the comments. Also, if you're liking this kind of deep dive, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more insider breakdowns like this. It really helps the channel grow and brings you closer to the Cowboys news you crave. Coming up next, we'll talk about the injured reserve moves and what they mean for the Cowboys season outlook. Stay tuned. Now, let's talk about the injured reserve moves the Cowboys made recently, starting with Paris Campbell. Unfortunately, his season is over after being placed on IR. The initial reports about his knee injury made it sound much worse than it actually is. Instead of a full tear, it's more of a sprain, which is somewhat less severe, but still enough to keep him out for the year unless the Cowboys decide to work out an injury settlement or release him from injured reserve. Realistically, Campbell was never expected to make the 53-man roster. He was more of a practice squad option, a potential emergency backup, especially on special teams. With the team's current depth at receiver and return specialist, it looked like the Cowboys might lean on players like Deuce Vaughn or Jaden Blue to fill those roles instead. Then we have Matt Wiletko, who was waived injured. This means he's subject to waivers, and any team can claim him if they want. If he clears waivers, he'll revert to injured reserve. This is a common move for players the team doesn't expect to keep on the active roster, but still wants to retain in some capacity. Wiletko was the last remaining piece from the Amari Cooper trade that didn't quite pan out for the Cowboys. Drafted in the 5th round, he spent several years trying to develop into a backup offensive lineman, but it just didn't work out. It's nothing unusual for mid to late draft picks, especially offensive linemen, who often face a tough path to sticking on NFL rosters. These IR moves show the practical side of roster management. The Cowboys are clearing space while keeping options open for injury settlements, which allow players to recover and then possibly sign elsewhere later in the season. The team isn't just cutting these players loose outright, they're managing the situation carefully, balancing roster limits and injury concerns. I'm curious, do you think the Cowboys will settle with these players or release them outright? Let me know in the comments. Your input helps build the conversation, and I love hearing your thoughts. Also, if you want to keep up with all the roster moves as they happen, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. The Cowboys roster is always shifting, especially in preseason. You don't want to miss a beat. Up next, we'll dive into how these moves impact the offensive line depth heading into preseason and why the Cowboys are investing in veteran backup linemen. Keep watching. Let's take a closer look at the Cowboys' offensive line depth heading into the preseason. With some of the starters expected to miss time due to injury and others already banged up, the team needed to add reliable veterans like Lyle Collins and Jaron Christian to protect the backup QBs and keep the line stable during the grind of preseason games. Tyler Gayton, for example, won't be available to start the preseason, which immediately thins out the available options. Tyler Smith and Cooper Beebe aren't expected to see much action either, and Terrence Steele is also likely sidelined. That means the Cowboys have to lean on guys like Austin Richards, Brock Hoffman, T.J. Bass, and some rookies or less experienced players such as Johnny Cornelius and Sadiq Charles. This patchwork means the depth really got thin quickly, especially once you factor in injuries to players like Keem Hayden, who's dealing with a concussion, and Matt Wiletko, who we just talked about. When you look at it, if the Cowboys get into the third quarter of preseason games, they might only have 6 or 7 healthy offensive linemen available, which is tight. This is why bringing in experienced guys who've played real NFL snaps is so important. The Cowboys' strategy isn't to fill those backup spots with unknown undrafted free agents with little or no game experience. Instead, they want veterans who can step in and hold their own, giving the starters a chance to rest and the younger players a chance to develop without risking injury or collapse in protection. The good news for the fans is that this kind of depth investment usually pays off during the season. Injuries happen, and having reliable backups is key to keeping the offense moving. So, these signings might seem minor, but they play a crucial role in the bigger picture of Dallas roster construction. What backup linemen do you think will surprise us this preseason? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're enjoying this deep dive, hit that like button and subscribe to support the channel. It means a lot and helps us keep bringing you the best Cowboys content. Coming up, we'll wrap things up with a look ahead to what these moves mean for the Cowboys preseason and season outlook. Stay with me. To wrap things up, these roster moves reflect the Dallas Cowboys' clear strategy heading into preseason and beyond. By signing experienced offensive linemen like Lyle Collins and Jaron Christian, they're prioritizing depth and reliability, especially in a position group that's critical for both protecting Dak Prescott and establishing the run game. The injured reserve moves with Paris Campbell and Matt Wiletko also underline the reality that some players simply weren't going to make the final roster, and the Cowboys are managing those situations smartly to keep roster spots open and maintain flexibility. Looking ahead, the preseason will be a testing ground for many of these backup linemen and young players fighting for roster spots. The competition will be fierce, but with the added veteran presence, The team should be better prepared to handle injuries and maintain consistency on the offensive line. This bodes well for the Cowboys as they aim to avoid the kind of depth issues that can derail a season. Now, I want to hear from you one last time. Do you think either Collins or Christian will make the final 53-man roster? Type Y for yes or N for no in the comments below. Your vote matters, and I'll be keeping an eye on what the community thinks as we move forward. If you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time. We're pushing towards 16,000 subscribers, and your support helps keep the channel growing and delivering daily Cowboys news and insights you won't find anywhere else. Don't forget to like this video and share it with your friends who are Cowboys fans too. Thanks for sticking with me through this breakdown. Stay tuned to Cowboys News TV for daily updates and deep dives as the preseason heats up. We've got you covered every step of the way.